Hiya. So one of my favourite ways to animate maps within After Effects is to go online to this website called David Rumsey and get these very high definition map scans and then to take them within After Effects and do the animations on top of that. I find that this gives a really beautiful vintage style to your map animations, and today I'm going to be showing you a quick way to do this. Now there are several ways to do this. The method that I'm going to be showing you today involves the usage of GeoLayers 3. If you don't have GeoLayers 3, then there's another method which involves taking a camera within After Effects and animating the camera physically around on the map. I'll link to another tutorial down in the description that shows you how to do this. So first of all, let's go over to davidrumsey.com. Now they literally have thousands upon thousands of these vintage maps that you can browse. You can search by location. I find quite a nice way to search is to go to what's called map rank search. So you go over here, launch map rank search. Now this basically has all the maps georeferenced, so you can just find them as you would in Google Maps. And you even have a slider here to set the date range that you want to see maps for. So let's go over to China because there's some nice maps of that part of the world. Now just to be aware, some of the maps made in the most recent day are they're still under copyright. So that is just something to be aware of. So you can scroll basically down this right hand column and pick out any map that you like the look of. So I like this Domino Chinese map, I think it's Italian. So we'll open it up in here and then you go export. Now when you click export, you can export this as many different sizes. I would recommend going for the extra large, just because it has the most pixels, it's the most high definition scan, and this means that we can zoom right close into it without losing any definition. So we're going to click extra large and then it should download, and sometimes this does take a little while. So once this is downloaded, we're going to go over into After Effects. Now we need to open up a GeoLayers project. Now we can do any map style, it literally doesn't matter because you're going to be covering it all up. So I'm just going to pick this top one here and we're going to go create. Crank the max zoom up, there we go. Now, is what we're going to do is we're going to go over and we're going to bring in, you have to unzip it first. We're going to bring this map into After Effects. So let's just drop it on there. God, blimey. Yeah, you see what I mean, how big the file size is. And that's, you know, you can go all the way in and you're still not losing any detail. So let's shrink this down. That's too far. What am I doing? Right, there we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to press T. Now T is transparency, and drop this down to about 50%. And then we're just going to do Control click and finalize the composition. Now we're going to line this up. Now it doesn't have to be spot on. You know, there's some methods where you're trying to bring in across geodata into GeoLayers from a map. And in those cases, you would need it to be spot on, and you might even use puppet pins to stretch it to fit exactly. You don't need to do that here, as long as it broadly lines up. Now, the best way I find to do this is to find some common point on the map. So I'm going to pick, for instance, the bottom of Korea there. So press Y, get the anchor tool, and put this on the bottom right hand tip of Korea. And then we're going to line that same point up to the same position on the map. Now press S, and that's going to allow us to scale the map and rotate the map so that it broadly lines up as best as we can reasonably get it with what is actually there in the globe. I think that's probably good enough for our purposes, really. Yeah, you see, it's never going to line up perfectly because this is an old vintage map. It's not going to perfectly match with modern map data. So we do T and we scale it back up to the full transparency. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to mark this object as 3D, and then we're going to parent it to the world map comp anchor. Now what this is basically going to do is it's basically anytime I alter the map positioning, within the GeoLayers panel, it's going to basically translate that information to the map. So no matter how I move it, it should stick to that. Now, is what we're going to do is we're going to get out the pen tool and we're going to mask this. So is what we're going to do is we're going to basically just go round the edge like that and mask out the map from the page that it's on. It's up to you how exact you want to be with it. Where there's little bits like that with like a fold in the book, for instance, I quite like to take it up the edge because I think that just helps sell the 3D effect. Now, as what I like to do is to get like a nice wooden tabletop texture and sit it underneath the map so it appears like it's actually on a tabletop. Now, you can find this on some paid websites like Envato Elements, or if you want to do it for free, you can go over to this website called Unsplash. They have quite a lot of free assets that you can use. So I'm just going to type in dark wood texture. There we go. So there's quite a lot of decent options here. That's a good one. So I'm just going to download that. We're going to go back over to After Effects and we're going to take this texture and drop it in. Then we're going to position this underneath the map, scale it down. Now basically when you're scaling it down, you just need to do it to a size that when you rotate the map, you're not going to be revealing the edges. So I think we can maybe go a little bit smaller. Ooh, that's the position. There we go. Now, same as with the map, just 3D and then parent it to the World Map Comp anchor. There we go. Now, one last thing it's nice to do here is I like to add something called a drop shadow. And is what the drop shadow does is it just, again, it helps really kind of sell this illusion that you've actually got a 3D piece of paper sat on a table. Is what we're going to do. This is the direction that the drop shadow faces in. The distance, there you go. So the distance kind of pushes it out there, but then you want to increase the softness as well. So distance is a bit high. There we go. That's quite a nice drop shadow, I would say. I'm just going to change the color of it slightly, make it a little bit lighter, I think. So now that the map is basically pinned to the GeoLayers composition, we can basically just go about animating this as we would with any normal GeoLayers composition, and it's going to basically shift the map with it. So if I do a nice rotate effect, for instance, let's do an example here. So we can start there, go a couple of seconds along. Let's do a zoom and a bit of a rotation. So there, we've got a nice zoom effect into Korea. Just gonna apply some easy ease. Ease in. There we go. That looks really nice. You know, I'm just going to alter the angle of the map a little bit, just to help sell this next thing that I'm going to show you. There we go. That looks really nice. Now, there's one last thing which I like to do, which is basically I like to go here and then do new camera. Now, the purpose of this camera is I'm not going to move this camera. I'm just going to keep this sat still looking at the map. But I'm going to come down into the menu and I'm going to enable depth of field. Now, is what the depth of field is going to do is it's going to basically create this blur effect outside of the focal plane on the map. So you can't really see it yet. But if I crank up either the aperture or the blur level, you'll see that effect start to creep in. So let's go to about 300. Yeah, you can see that as we're going to the edge, it's starting to fall off slightly. Now, I find that this is a more appealing effect if you don't put it on too strong. I think with some animators out there, they'll really kind of crank up this blur level to kind of sort of guide the eye to the center of the image. And it can look nice, but I think sometimes less is more with this kind of thing. Now, one final trick that you can do with this is you can change the focus distance. So you see at the moment this kind of sharp point is in the middle here. If I change the focus distance, it shifts out like that. So this is quite a nice, if I want to kind of direct the eye to a different part of the image, that's quite a nice way I can do it with these sort of subtle focus pulls. Like that, there we go. So let's see how that looks. And there you have it. If you've got any questions about this particular method, please do just pop them down in the comments. And if you want to talk to me about hiring me for any map animations, then I've got a Google form down in the description. Thanks.